Hello capoeiristas. Today I want to talk to you about injury prevention for our shoulder joint. Our shoulder joint is a ball and socket joint that goes a little bit like this. So we got the head of our humerus that kind of nicely places itself in the glenohumeral socket, and then we can move our shoulder about that joint. However, a lot of times we can find the head of the bone drifting off either a little bit in front, a little bit up high, or backwards. And when the head of the bone kind of goes outside and we exert certain amount of force on it, it can cause impingement, because now we're not relying on the muscles to keep it in space. It is being stretched by the ligaments or other kind of soft tissue that is not meant to really hone and protect that socket. So what do we do with that? Well, the shoulder joint is one of the joints in our body that has the most movement or range of movement or potential range of movement. That means that the more there is potential motion in a joint, the more that there's also risk of injury throughout that joint. So we got to be smart about it. For athleticism, especially in a sport like capoeira where we're arching and we're moving all these different directions, we need to get that range of motion. We need to be able to go into our bridges, in our handstands, in our cartwheels, and all of that as we're kicking, as we're moving on the ground. So we need that strength in all the different planes of motions. However, we need to be able to train to get there, because if we don't own it first and then we go into those dangerous movements that will put our joint at stress, we're going to get repetitive injuries at our shoulders, and now we're going to be working a pattern that's not meant to be, and risk of injury is bound to happen. So let's talk about shoulder packing. Shoulder packing is exactly that. I have my shoulder joint here and I want to pack it in place. One of the best ways to do that is to go in external rotation. So thumbs up, moving to the side here, I will engage a lot of muscles, especially my lats, to pull the head of my humerus way into its socket. So it makes sense that whether I'm pushing or pulling in any kind of range of motion, to think about that rotation or torque, if you will, to really put that capsule in its place. An easy way to look at that is you can either use a friend or some kind of tool that you can find at the gym. I'll show you with the rings, where you put yourself, you can slowly let yourself passively hang, where you're going to be outside of the socket, and then externally rotate to pack that shoulder. So we could see it here with different angles. Once you've told your nervous system how to really pack through those different ranges of motion, then it's game on. Then we can start building that strength through various activities. I want to show you here a bunch of exercises that are meant to push and pull your upper body to the different planes of motions, the different ranges of motion, so that you can gain strength in all of the different ranges. Because it doesn't make sense if you're really strong in this range but very weak here, then we're going to get risk of injury. So we got to make sure that when we're training in all of the different vectors that our shoulder can go in. If I'm strong here, I want to be as equally strong there. I want to be as equally strong there as well. So if I do identify weakness, that's the plane of motion where I'm going to work at. Now, funny enough, there can be weaknesses where your arms are going to internally rotate or externally rotate. That's why I'm going to show you exercises that I prefer with rings or either kettlebells. With the rings, or the way that I'm going to show you with the kettlebells, if you have that fault, you're automatically going to turn into that fault, meaning that you're going to lose that packing capability. And if you're aware of that, you're going to be able to correct yourself. If you're doing it with dumbbells or barbells, you're not going to have that weakness that's going to be evident. So I highly suggest to use the tools that I'm going to show you the way that I'm going to show you, because of the weaknesses that it can show. And if you're tuned to that, you're going to be able to think about it and control yourself. And eventually, with time, obviously, it's going to become second nature, and then you're going to be able to do a bunch of flashy things without any risk of injury on that really important joint. So let's have a look at a few demonstration of exercises where I slowly progress using these implements and giving myself time to really hone and make sure that everything is aligned, to make sure that my shoulder is in its socket. All of those exercises are great examples of working different planes of motions and working on that weakness of either externally rotating or internally rotating. We want to be neutral, so having our thumb up, if you will, as much as possible. That might mean to torque a little bit more on this side or to torque a little bit more on that side, depending on the weakness that's going to show during your pushing and pulling. I want to finish off here by showing two exercises. They're not final exercises because I'm not there yet, but they give you a good idea with the rings and parallel bars of pulling your whole body, the whole weight of your body, into all the different vectors of your shoulder and pushing in all the different vectors. Now, as I said, I'm not the best at it yet. I am working on it, but you can see me progressing, and you can see me as well owning the ranges that I'm owning. I will, however, say this: when you do give these exercises a shot, always be careful. Never go quickly. If you're going quickly with the movements, that means that you're not owning that position. If you don't own the position, that means you're relying on speed and not muscle control. Always go slowly so that your nervous system can really understand how to contract your muscles and how to make sure to own that position. If you can't go in that depth or that range of motion without going fast or pushing yourself too hard, that means you do not own it. You're not going there yet because you're at risk of injury. So go to the depth that you are comfortable at slowly and get out of there slowly. Then you're going to start to build more strength in the different vectors of the range of motion of your shoulder. So let's see that push and that pull. And that's it, guys. I hope that gives you enough ideas or tricks, if you will, to make that shoulder stronger. You don't have to do much, and I'm a big believer that if you pick one set of exercises that really targets all those issues that you can potentially get with a joint and just make you stronger, that's way better than doing 100 exercises to get the same results. So play around with these exercises, but please be safe. Go where you can control the movement. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please let them put them in the comments section, and it will give me ideas to better answer your questions. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next show.